and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. If you watched U.S. President Donald Trump's press conference with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas last week, you might have thought there was some bad blood between them. Maybe it was his slam of PA support for terrorism, or maybe it was a sour look on the U.S. president's face. Well, Israel's Channel 2 News is reporting that we only saw the tip of the iceberg. An unnamed American source is telling the channel that Trump was yelling at Abbas during their private meeting and accusing him of lying to his face. Trump reportedly shouted, "You tricked me," in D.C., claiming that the Israelis had shown him documents detailing the Palestinian leader's involvement in incitement, despite Abbas's pledge to seek peace. According to the sources, the Palestinians at the meeting sat there in shocked silence for minutes after the encounter. Palestinian sources are denying the report, which comes on the heels of a spat between the United Nations, Norway, and the Palestinian Authority, after the PA decided to use European funds to build a memorial center dedicated to the female terrorist Dalal Mughrabi, who is responsible for the death of 38 innocent civilians. Residents of the Israeli city of Haifa are well aware that there's a giant ammonia tank in their port, and they're also aware that Hezbollah has threatened to target it with accurate missiles. So they must be pretty relieved that the Israeli Supreme Court has just ordered the closure of the tank. Haifa Chemicals must now close the ammonia tank by the end of July. The Supreme Court says that the tank has no building permit and that the company is operating without a business license. Local officials are claiming that if the structure is compromised, the lives of tens of thousands of people could be jeopardized. While a leak in the ammonia tank is unlikely to occur, the consequences would be terrible. But a leak really may not be the main issue here. Hezbollah has consistently threatened to attack Israel by aiming missiles at the tank, and considering how many rockets the terror organization launched at Haifa in the 2006 war, there's good reason for concern. The mayor of Haifa is praising the Supreme Court's courageous decision to close down the tank and says he looks forward to the day when the Gulf will be free of any threat. Around 30 guns have been stolen from an IDF base in southern Israel, and a senior officer has now been appointed to investigate the theft. The Times of Israel is reporting that the incident was discovered on Sunday. The army says it's keeping the details of the incident secret to protect the investigation, so we don't know which base the weapons were stolen from. There are no signs of forced entry to the armory, which implies that the thieves had help from soldiers inside of the base. And shockingly, that's not uncommon. In July, an IDF officer from near Nazareth was arrested for stealing dozens of grenades and missiles from a base in the Negev. Shadi Bashir and his accomplice Adi Zoabi stole the weapons to sell to Zoabi's criminal father Muhammad. The police had expressed concern that the weapons Bashir and Zoabi stole would end up in the hands of criminals or even terrorists. The Tower of David Museum is set to undergo around $30 million in renovations, all in an effort to connect it to the western part of Jerusalem outside of the old city walls. The museum is inside a 14th century Malmuk, an Ottoman citadel, and served as a garrison for Ottoman soldiers for 400 years. The museum director says that the Tower of David is a monumental site of the Old City and should serve as a key connection between East and West Jerusalem. The 5-year renovations will add a new entrance to the western side of the citadel, connecting to the outdoor Mamilla Mall. Plus, the renovations will also provide access to excavations which have uncovered Jewish fortifications from the time of King Hezekiah almost 3,000 years ago. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced a 5-year development plan for the city, so it sounds like the Tower of David Museum is getting in on the action. You might be used to snaking through the crowded streets of the Old City to get to the Western Wall, but it sounds like tourists and pilgrims will soon be traveling to the Kotel in style, now that a cable car is about to be built from West Jerusalem to the Dung Gate. That's right, the Israeli government has approved a plan to construct a cable car for the Israeli capital. The joint project between the Tourism Ministry and the Jerusalem Development Authority will cost around $56 million and will be operational in 2021. That's, of course, if it stays on schedule. Around 130,000 people come to the Western Wall every week, and right now that means schlepping up and down the crowded steps and alleys of the Old City. In the future, you'll be able to board the cable car at the First Station Mall in Jerusalem and be just outside of the Western Wall Plaza in under 4 minutes. The project is not without controversy, though. A French utility firm refused to take part in the project because the route will pass over parts of Jerusalem that the international community does not recognize as Israeli.
That's all for now. I'm Natasha Kirchak, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.